This video is copyright protected, which is detailed on the last slide. Prior to beginning maintenance and or repairs, please review your vehicle and snowplow manufacturer's owner and installation manuals to follow important safety procedures and guidelines. In this video, we will go over how to check all the important power and ground points on the plow and truck side of a Fleet Flex system plow. The Fleet Flex electrical system is a 2-plug system, 1 battery cable and 1 lighting harness coming out the front of the vehicle. Let's start at the source of the entire operation. The battery is responsible for providing power and in most cases the ground for all the plow electrical components. Make sure the battery posts are clean and free of corrosion to ensure you have a good solid 12 plus bolts needed for the plow to work 100%. The following pins can be checked without having the plow connected to the truck. From the battery, power and ground go to the isolation module through the battery cable, the control harness, and the plug-in harness. Before the power goes into the module, the battery feeds system voltage to the 2 fuses located in the plug-in harness. When checking, you should have power on both sides of the fuses. One fuse feeds the control power into the module and the other fuse feeds module power into the module. Let's disconnect the plug on port C and check for voltage on the plug end, pin F. This is the module power in voltage coming from one of the 2 fuses. With the key on, check pin C. This pin gets battery voltage from the switch accessory wire. This signal lets the system know that the vehicle is on. The key on source varies depending on the vehicle, so always follow their recommended location. Now disconnect the plug from port B. In this connection, there are 3 important pins to check for battery voltage. With the park lamps on, check the park lamp in on pin H. This pin is responsible for providing the voltage necessary to trigger the processor inside the module to transfer vehicle headlights and park lights to the plow side. Pin F is control power in. This voltage comes from the second fuse that feeds directly from the battery. Having voltage here does not always guarantee that you will have power at the control inside the cab. Once the module has control power in on pin F, the module will output control power out on pin C. Make sure the 11 pins are connected and key is on. Since this is an output, you cannot check it with the plug disconnected. To check this pin, you can use the 10-pin tester harness 28957. This will allow you to check inputs and outputs on any 10-pin plug. With the tester plugged in, you can check for battery voltage coming out on pin C. This power goes directly to the control inside the cab. On port A, we have the only ground that completes the circuit on the isolation module. The ground comes from the battery through the vehicle battery cable into the control harness, through the plug-in harness, through the single black wire with the orange stripe on the vehicle side 11 pin. Then it makes a loop through the plow side 11 pin harness and back into the vehicle side 11 pin harness. With the plug disconnected, you can check for ground on pin C. If no plow is available at the moment, you can use a jumper wire between pin 2 and 7 on the vehicle side 11 pin to complete the ground loop. This will allow you to check for ground on the module plug-in. This is a jumper harness we made using the plow side 11 pin harness. Next, we are going to check power and ground inside the cab on the 4-pin Molex connector. There are 2 red wires and 2 black wires. With the connector facing you and the group towards the floor, check control power in on pin 1 located on the bottom right corner, and control ground on pin number 4 located on the upper left corner of the connector. The other 2 wires are the communication wires. If good battery voltage is present, the control will power on completely. On the battery cable, you will have power and ground on the 2 big pins in the connector. This is direct power and ground from the battery. On the 11-pin harness, you will only show a ground on pin 2. This ground comes from the battery through the vehicle battery cable, the control harness, the plug-in harness, through the single black wire with the orange stripe on the vehicle side 11 pin. With the plow connected and no functions activated, the plow side will have power and ground on multiple locations. The big red wire feeds power to the motor relay and the big black wire feeds ground to the motor. The small red and black wires feed power and ground to the plow module through pin F and K on port A. The two fuses right by the module will always have power on both sides. This provides power to a portion of the coils depending on the plow model. The fuses on the other side provide power to the rest of the coils and also the small stud on the motor relay. Understanding how the motor relay works is important because if not, it can lead you to chase false leads when troubleshooting. Without any functions activated, 3 of the 4 posts on the motor relay will have power. The large post with the big red lead coming from the main battery cable, the small red post with the small red wire coming from the fuse, and the small post with the small black wire coming from the module. The other big post with the large red wire going to the motor should be dead. When no functions are being activated, both sides of all coils will show power. Then, when a function is activated, the specific coils needed will have power on the red wire and ground on the color wire. Once you activate a function that requires the motor to kick on, the module will provide a ground to the small black wire on the motor relay, and then the contacts inside the motor relay will complete the circuit and feed power to the motor. At the same time, the module will provide a ground to the coils needed to activate and shift the valve and perform the function commanded. Thank you for watching this video. We hope this will help you when testing and troubleshooting the power and ground points on your Fleet Flex system equipped snowplow.